Hey guys, I'm the 50s Kid. This is a 94 Toyota 4Runner. I'm going to be changing a bunch of the suspension components on it because a couple of them are worn out, and I just bought a kit that contains just a whole front suspension refresh. It's got 4 new ball joints, new tie rods, both inner and outer, new idler arm, and new pitman arm. That's for the steering gears. So let's get started. Okay guys, I got you looking straight ahead at the front suspension from the front of the car. This is the idler arm right here, and this is the pitman arm right here. That's part of the steering linkage. These are the tie rods here and here. So I just want you to concentrate on those. I'm gonna jiggle the wheel a little bit. There's your problem right there. You can see that on the idler arm in particular, that bushing is just totally gone. And you know, the tie rod ball joints are a little loose as well, so it's good that we're replacing those. The order of the day on this was, you know, cheap. And so cheap means eBay, and on eBay there was a kit that just had all these parts together. It has, you know, 4 ball joints, upper and lower ball joints, so 2 on each side. It's got the inner and outer tie rod ends, and it's got a new pitman arm and a new idler arm assembly. So 70 bucks, you know, you can't go wrong with that. So we're just going to change all that. Okay, I've got the wheel off. I'm going to spritz everything down with some penetrating fluid just to make sure I get a little help pulling this stuff off. I'm in California, and I think this is a California car. Has been all its life, I think. And so that should help me out. You actually need something called a pitman arm puller for that, which is this, which you can buy for $15 or just rent from your auto parts store for free. So it's gonna go over that and push that thing off. Gotta get the nut off first. So we're gonna do the hardest part first, which is gonna be the pitman arm right here. Let me get the cotter pin off. So I think before I pull this nut off, I will try to break this ball joint loose. I only got that one pitman arm from the auto parts store. Sometimes you can buy a whole front end service kit that has a couple of different pitman arms and a smaller one that's basically a tie rod remover. And I may or may not have to go and get a smaller one from the auto parts store. I probably should have just gotten that one anyway. It just depends on if I'm going to be able to smash these and break these ball joints free or not. I think I can definitely hit on that. Definitely hit on that. It's just this inner tie rod might be a little bit of an issue. I don't think so, but you know, we'll see. You want to hit the thing that it goes through with your biggest hammer. I don't know why, but it is fun to play with big hammers, right? And I think because this has been off already, it's probably going to be really easy, or replaced recently, I should say. It's probably going to be really easy to get off. Yeah, I think I can already feel that it's kind of coming. Yeah, there we go. No idea if that's an OEM part or not, but the ball joint does feel fine, so that's fine. I think it's probably an OEM part because usually the aftermarket stuff has grease fittings on it. Like this one, you know, it has a hole for a grease fitting. It came with a new grease fitting or a Zerk fitting, so yeah. Put it in, you know, put the wheel into alignment as best you can. Just, you know, do it by eye because you don't want this thing to kind of go cockeyed down the road while you're getting to the alignment shop. But, you know, when it came off, I felt it move slightly. So there's probably not much you can do about that. Just, I guess, try to get it as good as you can. Okay, that looks pretty good. Make sure these splines are started. Yeah, they are. that's different because it's not OEM. Was that a 21? Yeah. Usually ends up being different when you go aftermarket. Okay. That's definitely good. Okay, let me get this grease fitting out of here. Should be fine putting it on right now. Usually you want to avoid putting the grease fittings on until you're done with everything. That way you don't knock it off. But it's in a position on the top here such that I don't think it's I'm going to hit that with anything. It's important not to over torque these Zerk fittings because you can just strip the threads right out. So just, you know, until it seats right there. There we go. Get in a position where I can get a good swing on it. So it just bolts onto the frame member with 3/17s. Does that go through? Oh, those go through. I thought they just went into the frame member. That top one's a little shorter. Looks like this new one has a little plastic cap to protect the rubber cap. That's still 17. No, 18. Why would it be the same? Why did I even think? Okay, that looks good. Felt good. And no new cotter pin, so reusing the old one this time. So with the tie rods, I want to do this like hardest part first, followed by the easiest. I think it'll be slightly harder to do these back ones just because of the angle that I'm going to be hitting these things at from underneath. You can't get them off. You can just zip them off. Oh, right in the way. Probably would be good to turn this thing. Let's see. The reason you can do that, or it doesn't really matter, is because changing the tie rod end anyway, so it doesn't matter if the cotter pin's stuck in there. I don't need to bash it out with a punch or anything. You can just get it out. I can just cut it off with the bolt like that. Okay, let's see how awkward this is going to be. So I might be able to use this Pitman arm puller on this one. Maybe. We'll see. If not, I'll just go rent the smaller one rather than keep beating on this thing forever. The auto parts store is like right down the street. And I should have just done that. But I didn't really know what I was in for until I got a real good look under here. I didn't remember any of this from last week. Let's see. Oh, look at that. No need to go anywhere. Well, that was easy. Okay. So let me mark this one. That doesn't need to come all the way off. I'm going to take this all the way off. Okay, I got it. So, 1, 2, 3 threads showing. I'm going to count anyway. So that was like 1 revolution. 2. That's 3. That was 27 and a half, basically. 27 and a half, starting backwards. So let's compare the length of the bolts. You know, I think they're very similar. Let me just line them up on this end. Actually, they're not similar. This end is sticking up. The OEM one is sticking up just a little bit more. So, yeah. I'll still count 27 and a half anyway. Get some penetrating oil in there. Okay, so that's 27 on the new one. So that should get us somewhat close. And if we can just sort of align the new one to the old one, we can see if we're basically there. And you know, we are. I think we're pretty darn close with our new one and old one. I can see that my mark is just right here, which is right on the edge there. So even though the threads go longer and these other ones were just slightly, you know, the OEM one was just slightly longer, it's still kind of, you know, the threads basically kind of started in the same place. It's roughly the same. So that should be, you know, close enough. I think the tires should go pretty straight down the road, and, you know, the car is not going to be hard to drive. So that's not coming out. So I'm going to put my Zerk fitting on right now because I can get at it. You know, this one's on the side like that. Kind of strange. I've never seen that before. But I guess it has to be. Otherwise you can't really get access to it. And I'm just asking myself, should I pump that full of grease right now? Just because it's a little bit easier to get at. I don't have a grease gun that has a like a bendable head on it. I don't have a full-size grease gun, only a small one. So I think maybe I will do that. because, you know, now's the time to put a little excess grease in here. And then, you know, when I tighten it up, it'll just sort of squeeze out and I can wipe it off. This is a crappy grease gun. I don't even know if it works. I might be running to Harbor Freight before this is over to get a real grease gun. In fact, I think I will be doing that. So we'll just get this back on for now. Let's keep it aftermarket nut. Okay, hopefully the old nut, the old thread or the new threads are the same size, so I can reuse the old nut. Because that old nut's longer, way better. This one was shorter for some reason. You find that sometimes. There's just retarded stuff going on. So I will need to get a proper grease gun. I've been meaning to for a while now. So now we can do the small ball joint. $19. I am giving that a boo-boo. Let's see if I'm really wrong about this. I think that I am. Or I think that I'm right about it. That worked. Oh, not as bad as I thought. I got it moving. So I'm going to count it too, but I'll see if I can mark it as well. And it's the same 3 threads showing, or yeah, basically 3 threads. There's 1, 2, 3, 20, basically 27 and a half. Which I think was the same thing as the inner one. These look the same length. Like same number of threads, but just like the inner one, the OEM one starts higher. I don't know if we can see that. So the threads start up a little higher, but not a big deal. So we're gonna do the 27 and a half. So that's 27. This one's a little harder to compare visually, but I think we're basically good. Close enough. So that should be it for the tie rods. I'm not going to show the other side because it's exactly the same. So we'll just move on to the ball joints over here. So I did the 2 ball joints on the other side of the car first just to see what I was in store for, see if there were any surprises. There were a couple. So we're just going to do, I'll film the ball joints on the driver's side here. Whoever did the brakes last time, when they took these 2 bolts out, they put them back in with red Loctite. So I had to use a breaker bar with a cheater pipe on it in order to get them off the other side, which was just ridiculous. So gotta get the brake caliper off. So those are 2 17s. Strangely, they didn't put any Loctite on these bolts. I've seen people put Loctite on brake bolts before, but usually it's just blue Loctite. You know, red Loctite is just, you know, that's permanent. That stuff does not want to come off. These are like 4 piston calipers, so it's not exactly straightforward. You know, usually on floating piston caliper or floating caliper brakes, you can compress the pistons easily by pushing the caliper back in, but these calipers are rigid, so you gotta press the pad into each piston this way. And I just want to do that just to, you know, give it a little room to come off and go back on a little more easily. So all you have to do is sort of press on the brake pad a little bit. Just get this in here. Press on this side a little bit. And it's only really necessary on one side, you know, then it just kind of gets it loose enough to come off. Then we got to get these 2 bolts off here. These were the hard ones, actually. So those, I believe, are 21. No, they're 19. So those are 19, and those need the breaker bar. And I'm using my floor jack as my cheater pipe. That just makes it a lot easier. Okay, so that should be good for that one. The other one we'll have to get from the front. That's just the brake caliper slipping. Here. Now that I got that cracked, I should be able to get it by hand with this. Yeah. Here, let's make this go faster. So yeah, red Loctite. Okay, that's not loose enough. More red Loctite. So what that did was that there's actually the brake hose is actually bolted to it. There's a bracket for it. That's why you needed to remove those. I've just got a little hook here that I'm going to use to hang the brake caliper off of the sway bar right here. Just like that. And the big member right here that it was bolted to, that's actually just like a little extension arm for the steering linkage to connect to. So we just swing that out of the way. Now you see we've got access to this upper ball joint here. We can actually get the Pitman arm puller on that. So that's why you do that. But we also need to disconnect the sway bar link right here and then the shock on the other side. So we'll do the sway bar link first. It's a 14. And then you want to hold the link with a 14mm wrench up here so that it doesn't turn, because if you don't do that, you could actually break the sway bar link off if you use an impact. Still good to do it anyway. Okay, that's really on there. Okay, so that's loose. Now I'll take you to the other side and we'll get the shock off. This is fairly straightforward. It's a 22. A little punch to help kick the bolt out. So there we go. Our big bolt's out. So now you can see that we're nice and loose. I'm going to get the cotter pins off. I'm just going to nip this end off. I got new pins. This one's also 22. Get our puller on there. Okay, got tension on there. I'm gonna whack it up here. That's it. So you do want to be slightly careful. You don't want the CV joint to come out. It kind of might have already, but we'll just pop it back in. So there are 4 12s on the top there. I'm not going to take them all the way off with this because they've been getting stuck in those sockets, so I'll just do it by hand because they're just, you know, real dirty, so they're getting stuck. So get the old ball joint out of there. So new ball joint, these are aftermarket. They're pretty good though. They've got the little metal clip around here to hold the boot on. Metal clip up, you know, top and bottom. So, you know, that's pretty good. The tie rod ball joints were kind of crappier. The boots didn't have a little metal clip to keep them on. They just sort of fit on with friction, and you know, they weren't the best, but whatever, you know, eBay. So the back one was actually tricky to get on because these bolts are sort of at an angle, at least the top ones are, so I kind of had to tap it on with a punch, which is, you know, a little strange, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, that's kind of, I think that's good enough. So if you just sort of push on the knuckle, it should go back in fairly okay. And get the ball joint aligned. I'm not using the Newcastle nuts they provided because they're slightly bigger than 22 millimeter. They must be like a fractional size or something. So I'm just reusing the old Castle nuts. They're fine. Nothing wrong with them. You want to tighten your castle nut up more in order to get it aligned with the holes. Don't back it off. I think that's it. We got our new cotter pin. And we'll get it in there. Hopefully you guys can see that. Yeah. So I just had to bend it down slightly. And then I'll just bend that other one around the side. Cool. So that's the top ball joint. Let's get that grease fitting in there. We'll pump a little grease in. Okay. So we'll do the bottom one, then we're home free. Don't know why I'm doing that one by hand. See if we can tap that a little bit. Just need to get a little tension on there, give it a love tap, and it's free. Like that. Now, we will get the bolts out. They are 14s. Okay. Little corrosion. I think it's that extension that's doing me in. Yeah, I can feel that. Oh yeah. So I'm going to press down on the lower control arm a little to get the ball joint free. Actually, hold on. We need to tap that with a screwdriver, which I've misplaced. Just need to insert your screwdriver between the ball joint and the knuckle right here. Give it a couple taps. You guys are too close. Looks like we're free. We weren't. Now we're free. There we go. So the new ball joint, well, the old ball joint actually, let's start this way. The new ball joint has the grease fitting on the side right here, which is strange. It's inaccessible when it's there. I've put it there so that I could pump it full of grease. I've actually pumped it a little too full of grease, so some is going to spill out once I put this up in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer the plug that's on the old one to the new one now that I got grease in there. I think the plug is a 10 mil. Okay, so we got the plug on there. Slip it up into place. Like that. So there we go. We're all done with the lower ball joint as well. Now we just got to put everything back together. Okay, so we got this cap and nut for the bottom of the sway bar link. So we just need a pry bar to get the shock back up in place. It was easier on the other side. Oh, okay, the bushing just came out a little. That's what happened. Just want to double check that. Oh yeah, that's tight. So we'll get this guy back in there. So it basically goes there. And I'm just gonna put the brake caliper back on because the brake line bracket goes through those bolts, or those bolts go through it, I should say. Make sure these pads didn't come loose. Okay, my brake pads are giving me a slight problem. I'm just gonna push them in, push the piston in. I've got this rubber pad on my clamp here, so it should be fine. Okay, now we're good. Get this back up into place. Let me get one of my caliper bolts in here just to hold the caliper on. So I just cleaned these bolts up on my wire wheel real quick. They just go in here. Get those started. I'm going to get the lower caliper bolt in too while I have the chance. Okay, those are in. Okay, we are done. So you won't know until you get your wheels back on whether or not your alignment is good. You just want to check it on the one side, see if you're just kind of visually straight, and then come over here, check it on the other side, you know, see if you're visually straight. And if you are not, then just go ahead and loosen those two bolts on that lock down the tie rod, and then spin that middle piece around, and that should move your tire in and out. You can do it on either side or both if you want, and then you should be able to bring the tire back into alignment. Remember to lock them off when you're done. So that's it, we're all done. Remember to go get an alignment after you're done with this kind of job. Please like and subscribe. I'm the 50s Kid. Thanks a lot for watching.